Greetings and welcome back to Smartwatch Ticks. It's another exciting day. As you know, that means we are going to open up a new box and check out what we just got from China. No doubt, a smartwatch. Which one is it? Oh, the LEMFO. Yes, you guys have been asking for this one. Which model? Well, I think we're going to have to open it up to find out. Let's see. Oh, here we go. It's the... Yeah. All right, let's open it up. One of these nondescript boxes. Oh, okay. It's hiding from us. Ooh, that's nice in silver. Look at this. Have you guys figured it out yet? Not yet? Okay, well, let's set it aside, see what else is in the box. Of course, we got our protective material. Move these guys out of the way. Cover. Some more stuff. And we have a manual on the... Yeah. In Chinese. And on the other side... we have the smartwatch with the user's manual in English. We always like to show you the instruction manual in case you'd like to look at it up close. There's all the different watch faces listed. Look at that. Some of those look familiar. Some are different, though. I don't think I've seen that purple one before, or that cityscape. What are we looking at? Okay. Honestly, there are so many different watches flying in from so many locations. I had 3 packages arrive today. So without a name on this one and going into my records, I'm not sure what we're looking at. I like to be surprised just like you. Okay, here we have got a bag holding a screwdriver and a USB charger. Does that mean... No. Do we have a USB port? Oh, it looks like we must have a... That's a nice build design, though. Look at that. Sweet. We know we've got a heart rate monitor on it. Very nice, attractive, reflective shell. And you know what? I don't see a microphone port or a speaker port, which is really unusual. The bands obviously have the antennas in it. Hello, folks. Take a look at this now. Every one of you that thinks that these bands are removable, this is a clear and obvious reason why. You see that? We could almost plop that up and look at the antennas. You see where the wires go back into the watch? This is true on all of our Android watches. The antennas are in the bands, so you can't take them off. But this one is really interesting in that I don't see any microphone or speaker port on it. So it's going to be fun to play with it and try to figure out how it works. It sure looks like it could be definitely water resistant, if not waterproof. There's only a button and everything else is sealed. Nice. And this must be the dock. Hello, dock. Yeah, it's a dock and it looks like a nice solid connective kind. Pins. Port. Wow, very nice. Magnetically coupled. Now, this one is big enough and thick enough that you could have a high-capacity battery inside of here that you charge through the USB connector, right? And then that and its charge could be a secondary charge to the watch. If they don't have one like that, that certainly would be a nice add-on. A lot of depth there that, could be taken up by moving all of that up and putting a battery underneath there. Just a thought for any of you guys out there that are ingenious, easy to take it apart. But I digress. We have a charging dock on here. Okay, last chance to guess. I know, it's in the title of the video by the time you're seeing it, but for me, it's a LEMFO watch. All right, I'll be right back after we charge it up, power it on, and find out what in the world we're looking at. Well. Okay, now I know which one we're talking about. This comes from Gearbest. It's a special one they got in. We were talking about watches and what we wanted to look at next, and they said, well, we just got this one in. We don't know a lot about it. It's from LEMFO, It's called the K1. It's a 3G smartwatch. It's running Android 5.1. What do you say? You want to take a look at it? All right, send it on out. Let's explore it. So here it is. To me, it looks a whole lot like the FINOW watch, the FINOW Q1. And yeah, they do look a lot alike. Even the bands are similar. There are some differences to them, though. Of course, we'll do a video to compare them together later. But for right now, we want to review the K1. So we have several watch faces. Let's run through those. It's a square watch, and they show a bunch of different round faces on them. So you have a lot of choices of what you'd like. Some of the interesting stuff about this watch is its memory layout. Most Android 5.1 watches come in one of two different configurations. There's the lower memory, which is 512 megabytes of RAM and 4 gigabytes of ROM. And then there's the high memory, which is the 1 gigabyte RAM, 8 gigabytes ROM. Well, the spec sheet says that this watch ships with the 512 megabytes of RAM, the lower level, but then 8 gigabytes of ROM, which means you could hold a lot more songs and data and all sorts of stuff in there, I guess. If that's true, that's the first time we've really seen a deviation from the typical configuration. And that may mark something new in the industry. I don't know. So, of course, we just turned the watch on, so it's not really up on the network or connected to anything yet. It's just here for our out-of-the-box look. All these have YS numbers to them, and they're factory-installed watch faces. As far as I know, you cannot add watch faces to this watch. It's basically what you see is what you get. But you get a lot of them. And there's some nice ones in here, digital, analog. A lot more than what they had in the manual, actually. So perhaps they're constantly adding to it. Yeah, look at all these cityscapes, the digital cityscapes. Combination of English and Chinese. We're not seeing the day of the week, I presume, over here in English. Here's a more detailed data watch showing 66% battery, 10 degrees Celsius in terms of the weather. Another subdued watch. You can't see it too easily, but there's some, the numbers are down around the watch itself. Yeah, quite a few. So LEMFO, okay. And the K1 watch. I think this is the last one. Yeah, no more beyond that, and you don't get the plus sign like you do on some of the other watches where you can add to it. So let's look at how it works. If we swipe down, okay, this is looking familiar. We get the layout showing you the date and time and stuff, and that we have no SIM card and no tethering. Come over here, you got the page that has the vibration only or sound activated. You have the lift to show the time option here, airplane mode, synchronization, GPS location. The brightness levels, again, low, which is almost completely off, middle or high. I usually run it on middle for the video. It seems to work well. I don't know, today high looks good. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which are off. Come over here, you got your pedometer steps. There's 3 screens, it looks like, that show up at the bottom, but we're not able to change them directly there. Doesn't look like. You have to do that in the app. And is that it? Oh, this is the 3rd screen of the 3, I guess. And then when we go to the left from the watch face, you get your notification screen. We're all familiar with that. To the right, we get all of our apps. Right again, we get the music player, and that's it. Okay, and from here, if we go up, we would get the weather. So, nothing here, nothing there, and wants us to connect to the network to get the weather, and nothing else down. And it's trying to do stuff, so We'll come out of here. So that's the overall layout. Information up at the top and information straight across here. So it takes us into the apps. So we may as well go through the apps, let you know what we've got on the watch. We have a whole bunch of them that are pre-installed, including a lot of the favorites. So walking through these quickly, you have your basic phone layout that you can make calls with. Your contacts after you're connected will stream in here either from your Google account or your SIM card if you put that in and have all your contacts there. You got your SMS messaging app. We're moving quickly through these because a lot of those are the same. In settings, we have the usual layout. Let's look at what we're looking at here. This watch is a K1 watch running Android 5.1. And here are all the numbers. So when you get yours, you can check to see what your build number is and your kernel version to see if it's newer than what we're looking at right here. In terms of sound, we have the different volume adjusts. Typical sound level. Did find the speaker after all. It's kind of hiding. There it is. It's you see the reflection right there? That's the speaker. I'm still not sure where the microphone is. I don't know. Anyway, we got that. And of course you can change your ringtone to one of several different ones. We have other videos out that show all of these ringtones and all of these notification sounds. If you want to hear them and pick them out ahead of time, you can do that. They are the same across all these watches. You can have it vibrate for incoming calls if you'd like to as well. In the display, my favorite area to come into at first, because in addition to being able to adjust the brightness level on the fly in whatever level you want, you can go in here and change the sleep time all the way up to 30 minutes if you like, which is what I do for the video, so it's not timing out all the time. And your font size. Your app list is either in a matrix or a list type. And when you come back and take a look at them, they're all linear in a list type, right? And before they were in that matrix, which is here. And I'm going to put them back in matrix. Your connection is where you would set up your Bluetooth, your Wi-Fi, hotspot, airplane mode, turn on your GPS for location data, and restrict the app background running. Cellular networks is not lit up because I don't have a SIM card in it. This software, this 5.1 version, is pretty much uniform across the board on many of these watches. This is the barcode or QR code that you'd scan to tell you which app you need to download in order to tether this watch. It's either going to be SynSoft or it's going to be Funduware. These different watches use those two different types of tethering, neither of which are really that great. The gesture control is to turn the screen on briefly to tell you the time when you raise your hand, and you can turn on or off the pedometer service, which means you don't need to be using your battery tracking your steps all the time you wear the watch if you're not going to be using the pedometer. That's nice to see that feature now. It's kind of a power savings thing. Speaking of power savings, you get in here and it shows you how you are managing your power. The screen is almost always the most hungry energy user, which is why toning it down a bit is the best. And then there's a couple of other things that are showing up. And that's just a view of your power savings capability. Language and input, we have English, you have the basic keyboard, you can install other ones, and you have the basic voice information. I don't know if we can actually get this to work. Here's the Pico TTS, which is what they use for the English voice, and
this is an example of speech synthesis in English.
That's an example of what a phone call would sound like if you were trying to talk with somebody.
This is an example of speech synthesis in English.
There. A lot of you guys complain that I don't show you a phone call in action. Well, it's really hard to set it all up, take it apart, put in SIM cards, get another phone, link them together. Just don't have time for that in these limited videos. But mostly you want to know, can you hear the other person and can they hear you? I always have great ability to hear somebody talking on their watch. The microphone pickup is great. It always sounds loud and clear on the other end. Sometimes, depending on where the speaker is and the volume levels, it can be a little challenging to hear, and you have to hold your arm up to your ear.
This is an example of speech synthesis in English.
But this is pretty loud, and that's good news. Okay, that's language and input. Date and time, you can, of course, have it automatically use the network to give you your date and time if you want to. You can change the time zone if it's not linking up properly. You can set your own date and time or time zone, and you can switch it between 12 and 24-hour representation on your watch faces. Resetting the equipment is just basically that. You can back up your stuff to the cloud once you log into Google, and you can do a factory data reset to wipe everything on the watch and reset it back to normal. Uninstalling applications. There's a few that are in here that have been factory installed. These 3 are not standard part of the operating system, so they're listed, and theoretically you could uninstall them. But of course, if you do a factory restore, they're going to come right back on again. The only bad thing about this is you can just basically uninstall them or launch them. We've advised folks to install an app called Settings Search. And if you do that, you have a little bit more capability when you come in here to do things like clearing the memory and the cache and stuff like that. So Settings Search is an app you're going to want to install to give you better capabilities in your settings. And then we looked at About the Watch. Whoa, I swiped it all the way to dark. Where'd you go? There we go. That's different. Settings. Then there's the clock, which is basically your alarm clock that you can set. This is your sound recorder. We are looking at the LEMFO K1 smartwatch, Android 5.1. Here's another example of what it might sound like to listen to a phone call. That's really soft. And I cranked the volumes up all the way. So, I don't know. I can barely hear it. I'm sure you can't hear it. That's not as good as I've heard on many of these watches. So, the sound recorder seems to be light. There's your basic calendar, which doesn't let you go into the dates. Your file manager. Now here's where we want to talk about the memory. We have 4.75 gigabytes of available space and 0.8 used, which is about 5 gigabytes total. Now, if it comes with 8 gigabytes, the operating system itself is taking up a large amount of that availability. But the fact that you have almost 5 gigabytes means that obviously you have more than 4 in here. So yes, indeed, the specs are correct that this is an 8 gigabyte ROM implementation on this watch. When you go in here, you have all your different folders, and of course you can connect it to the computer and download different things like apps and music and stuff that you want to install. Then you've got a basic browser, which is not going to go anywhere because we're not on the internet. You have the remote camera capabilities, so when you're tethered to your phone, you can bring up the picture of what your camera is seeing on the phone on here, press it, and be able to take a picture, which is going to be saved on your phone. That's part of that tethering capability that you have. One of the few things that works fairly well. Then you have remote control. Sync failed. Please reconnect from the remote device. That, I think, is where you can find the other device. Music, this is your onboard music that you install in here. And again, with all the storage space, you can put quite a few songs in here. That might be remote music play. It looks like it from the icon. Ah, there we go. Okay. Anyway, music and music. The Google Play Store that you're going to need to install apps if you are linked to the internet. And, of course, Google Maps. Again, you need a connection and you need your GPS turned on. But it's available. The Play Music, which is the Google Play Music, from the Google, where you have your music account with up to 50,000 of your personal songs uploaded to the cloud. That's implemented here. Here's your reminders, sedentary reminders to do these different things at different times if you want to turn them on. and you can adjust those as well. We get into our health area where we have the heart rate and the pedometer. The heart rate looks like this. It's starting to look for my finger. These look like first generation diodes on here, meaning there's only one of them. The newer watches have two, but it does link in. It gives you the first reading with a date and time so you can accumulate a history. But then if you keep holding it or keep it on your wrist, it will do a live continuous measurement of your heart rate. And the pedometer. This is where you have interval pedometer capability, and you can put in the information that lets you set your weight and height and daily step goal. And then it'll keep track of your calories. All this stuff is basic in all of these different watches. In addition to that, now you have the Google Settings app, which when you're logged in lets you adjust all these things in your Google account. Then a gallery for your pictures, if you have any pictures on board. It says camera because the software is made for watches or phones that have an onboard camera. We don't have one, so that doesn't take us there. Then your Google Photos, so that you can store all your photos in the cloud, which is pretty cool. And of course, play them. Just like you could play all of your songs, you can play and show your different pictures on this watch from the photos. Of course, you have to be connected to the internet to do that. Then we get into the Google Voice stuff. We have a network error because we're not connected, but this is our overall Google, like the Google Now type thing. And it would show you your account information if you have it. Well, not getting me out of here. There we go. And I think we're getting too many apps here, so I'm going to press and hold this button and see where it says Recent Task. I can click on that, and I can, I guess, hit the X to delete these. It's being a little challenging. Usually we have to just slide them. For some reason, that notice of network error is not going away, so I might have to reboot the watch to get rid of it. Oh, there it goes. We must have closed the thing that was offending. See how many I had open? And with only 512 megabytes of available RAM, which is where all this stuff runs, it can get hosed up if you have too many things open. So always remember to be able to do that just by pressing and holding them. There's the Find Me. That's where with your tethering, it will make this beep and make your phone beep, and you can find whichever device is missing. You have Google News, which is their whole news service. So a lot of extra apps that are on here. Again, the tab that you can pull in from the side. Google Plus. No need to go in because we're not on the network, but you know, that's your Google Plus. Then we have the weather feature. And you have to connect, of course, in order to get your weather. And that's the same weather we saw when we were running around on the opening screen. And it's not letting us get out of there. And then Facebook, Twitter, and WhatsApp, which are the third-party apps that are also installed on this watch. And that is an overview of all of the software. So it's a nice-looking watch. It's got quite a bit of capability. The SIM card would go inside of the watch. We have to take the 4 screws out. So a little bit challenging. If you want to put a SIM in it, you're going to need to do that and pretty much leave it in there. It's not like you'll be able to transfer it back and forth from your phone easily. And that's the overview of the LEMFO K1 Gearbest special price. Look for the link in the show notes below. And if we have a coupon for you, you can apply that. If you get on it while this is still hot right now, you can get it at, I mean, look at this. We are looking at a $100 watch for about half price. Most of these Android 5.1, 8 gigabyte type watches are selling in the upper ranges of 70 to 120. So good introductory price on the K1. You have been watching Smartwatch Ticks. Thank you for joining us, and more to come.